Drama.
It's Fit.
Episode of SitM Podcast, The Couch Talk. I'm your host, Sir Charles, aka Capo. I got a good guest with me in the building, but before we get into that, make sure you visit www.sitmpodcast.com to shop your exclusive merch. Please go grab you a hoodie, a t-shirt, a crew neck, something for you and your lady, or something for you and your guy. You know, the holidays is wrapping up, so you got to get your last good gift. This is also the 5-year anniversary. We got a lot of good details coming up for you, so stay tuned and stay close to that. Make sure you watch all things SitMPodcast.com. That's the artist spotlight, that's the desk, and that's everything we got coming up for you. But back to my guest, Mr. Vernon Jones. He is the CEO of Quarter LLC, as well as a head coach of the 14U Cockyville Eagles. Am I correct?
Yes.
All right, 14U Cockyville Eagles head coach. Please, Vernon, let's all welcome him.
How you guys doing? What's going on?
Yeah, Mr. V, how you been, man? How's everything with you?
Man, I have been blessed, man. I can't complain at all, man. I can, but what's the point of doing that, man? How about yourself?
I'm pretty good, just took a break, just got back on the couch talk, so you know what I mean? There's a lot of good things happening for me.
Ever since you told me that you wanted me to come on, I've been keeping an eye out for the things you guys been doing, and especially this past week, I've been just watching episodes, trying to make sure I'm on my P's and Q's when it was my turn. So
that's what's up, man.
I'm excited to be here.
I'm happy for you to be here. So that means that we're gonna see you on this 5-year anniversary you got coming up. We'll talk about it off camera, but that means we just gonna see you. I'm just letting the people know where they can find you after this episode.
All right.
So V, man, what's going on? Like, first things first, man. I've known you personally for some time. Funny thing was, you was the first person I interned under, right? So let's share a little bit of that backstory, how we met, and what you were doing at that time, into how you transitioned into this time.
Okay, so at the time, I was working for Miss Tina Brown with Divine Fitness.
Right.
And we were trying to figure out ways to get more help and to also spread awareness of what we were trying to do. And one of the ideas was to get interns. At the time, I was either just finishing up school, or I had been out of school maybe for a little bit. So my time at Bowie State was still fresh on my mind. And I had remembered, how frustrating of a process it was for me to find like the right internship for me. And or to just even find an internship period, right? I don't know. I can only speak for myself. Sports management, it kind of felt like a wide range of things. I felt like I could really step into anything, right? So to find an internship that would allow me to step into all of these different things that I was learning at school, it really wasn't out there like that. So while I was with Miss Tina and Divine Fitness, it felt like, okay, this is kind of like that. If we bring somebody on as an intern, they will be able to, try some of these things that I learned from Bowie. So it just felt like the perfect answer. Let's go back and, find somebody, yourself, who, was sharp, who was eager to, hop into the field and try some things out, and it worked out.
No, that's definitely a bet, because for me at that time as a student, I think I did the internship before I was even supposed to do an internship. That was one of the coolest things about it, was that one, you were a product of Bowie State, coming from one of who I would consider somebody that really cared about our program. Because me and you, we both went to Bowie State,
right,
and we both were sports management majors, so we know the nitty gritty. And we seen that Well, you dealt with Dr. Organ.
You didn't deal with Dr. Organ?
I dealt with Dr. Organ.
Okay. All right. So forgive me. Right? Let's not say deal.
Oh,
right?
well, I would say that I know what it was to experience Dr. Organ.
Okay.
And then the transition post Dr. Organ. So I saw both sides.
Whoa, so I might have to ask you about how that was.
Yeah, it wasn't fun.
Really?
We'll talk. We'll talk.
Okay.
We'll talk. But for the most part, Dr. Riley was our common bond. And seeing how, because right after Dr. Organ left, Dr. Riley took over.
Okay.
So I met you basically through Dr. Riley. And if Dr. Riley ever seen this, shouts out to you, Dr. Riley. But
yeah, shouts out to Dr. Riley.
He definitely put me in contact with you, and I was so passionate about being in sports management. And I saw the same passion that Divine Fitness had, you, especially alongside Miss Tina. And it had already been something I was doing for a while. I had been working with Maryland National Parks and Planning Commission for some time. So I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity, because that actually led me into some other opportunities that we'll talk about later.
And no lie, like that is the ultimate plan, right? Mm-hmm. That's the plan, to give an opportunity or to create an opportunity for somebody and for them to take it and for it to run. For me, like, and that's why when you reached out to me, it felt like I had to take it, because it was like the perfect science coming back, right? I reached out to you indirectly, but in a way it made our paths cross. Right. Then boom, years later, you're in an opportunity and you're giving me one.
Exactly. So hopefully we can continue to build on this. I know you're gonna go far, because we definitely gonna talk about what you got going on.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
So first things first, so you're the CEO of Fourth Quarter LLC. So basically, when I met you, you were working with Divine Fitness. I think you were a part owner in that. You transitioned out of that into starting your own holistic training and development for students. So talk about that. Okay,
so all right, for starters, I wasn't a part owner of anything. I was just a contributor to it.
Okay.
So Fourth Quarter, it pretty much, you asking how it came about? Mm-hmm. All right, so there were several different instances in my life that kind of came together, right? The first, I'm gonna say, was when I was in high school, and I took my first business class, and I realized that and this might sound, I didn't want to work for anybody. Right. I wanted to create, and I wanted to give opportunity. I just didn't want to work for anybody, just plain and simple. And then once I found myself at Bowie, all right, now it's time to pick a major, right? You got, of course, everybody's experienced this. You got people in your corner saying, you should do this, you should major in this. And then, you got things that you see, this career makes a whole bunch of money. Then I found out about sports management. And the way my life was set up, it just felt like the perfect match, right? From my class that I took in high school, that's when I learned that, like, my teacher, Miss Tucker, she told us that, these things, these ideas that you guys create in these classrooms, it's the same thing that people were taking to the State House and, getting the LLCs for, getting, their, what their sole proprietorships for, So, when I got into sports management and I started doing projects and we started, doing assignments and doing research and stuff, I started keeping those things, right? Because just because I do a project in sports finance don't mean that it can't also tie into a project I'm doing for facility, for sports facility, right? So I collected these things, right? And then when one day we had a guest speaker come in and they were talking, they told us that they don't work during the winter. The only thing they do is they work during the summer. And it was all sports management stuff. And it was like, yo, this could be real. Then I found myself with the Divine Fitness situation. And that's when it was like, yo, it really is real. And doing all of these things there, that's when I got the confidence to step out and because it was something that I always wanted to do. It's like you've put in your time and your effort, your work. You've done the schooling, and then you've also done the work, like in real life. I even put in time with, parks and recs, line and field and stuff. So it was like, do it. And So you asked about the holistic part about it, right? So I chose to say I want to focus on it holistically, right, as a whole, right, because the way I stepped into the realm is through training, right, and typically trainers only focus on the physical element of what a student athlete is, right? But anybody who knows a student athlete or has been a student athlete themselves knows that that's not the only thing that could keep you from the opportunity of going to the next level, right? You got grades, you got exposure, you got mentoring, the things that you might be accustomed to, right? For example, and this is just an example, right? With Mike Vick's situation, right? I remember when that was going on. There are a lot of people that come from areas where dogfighting is actually common.
Yeah.
Right? So if you don't know that is an issue anywhere else, you just don't know. So you actually do need somebody that's like experienced in the world, or maybe not necessarily the world. I'm not going to
experience in that world.
Yeah, to let you know that like, yo, I know this is cool there,
but it's not cool.
It's not cool everywhere else. So at some point you're gonna have to let that go. If you don't have somebody to let you know that some of the things that you find cool, you gotta let go, it's gonna get in the way.
So you mentioned you were a student athlete. You played football at Bowie State?
Yeah.
So just a quick tidbit on, during your time there, I didn't really look at the records, so to speak, during my time there. But seeing where Bowie State is now as a school,
right,
it's almost like a powerhouse.
Yeah,
really.
yeah.
I mean, how does that make you feel?
So, all right, everybody's and you
play football there, right?
Yeah. Everybody's course or everybody's experience is different, right? So this is what I'll say about it. I will say that I am glad that I was a part of the building process, right? From what I see now that's taking place at Bowie, when I was there, what had that been happening was they were figuring things out. They were trying to figure out, what schemes work for them, what personnel they like, where they like to recruit or where they're able to recruit from. And now that they've been rolling for a couple years straight now, which means something clicked. When I was there, I believe, we averaged a 500 season. So, if you got any kind of like coaching experience, 500, you still, there's something missing. There's something that's not quite clicking, right? And to see, the amount of success that they're having now, I tip my hat to them as a coaching staff, as a program for getting it together. I wish I had been a part of, but, I still had, great times, you know what I'm saying? I still had good experiences. I still met a whole bunch of great people. And who I would, not to...
It just hurts, that ring, though. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it just is what it is, man. I would have loved to win a championship, get a ring, had the prestige, but I don't want to take away from what I got and the things that I learned and what me and my teammates and, the coaches that I played for, what it turned into, because it turned into something beautiful.
Right, because a lot of those coaches, shout out to Coach David Wilson, shout out to Coach Mo Ware, shout out to Coach, I'm forgetting him, the D coordinator. Coach Sewell, my man.
Shout out to Coach Sewell.
My man. Yeah, because for me, so I was there for the first championship. That was the year I think I graduated. I worked with the athletic department for some time. I don't know if you knew that or not.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so I actually interned with the athletic department prior to my other internship. But I worked for them for about 2 years. I did 2 years with them, so I experienced the first championship. Got to be a part of the second one. AD was supposed to give me a ring, but...
Oh, for real?
I'm telling you.
All right.
I'm telling you. AD my man.
Okay, so I feel like it's okay for me to say this because I went to an HBCU, and before I say this, all schools got their shit with them, But everybody that's went to a HBCU knows that HBCUs got some shit with them.
Yeah, of course.
So that was the shit that you just had to go through.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, but so we don't have to get into it now. We can talk about it off camera, but I think 80 understood. I'm not saying that I was a difference maker, but I had my own show at Bowie, and that season before me and him had a lengthy conversation about the sports management program at Bowie State and its relativeness to the athletic department. It was non-existent. It didn't make no sense to me. So it was post Oregon and post Riley as well. So I was able to kind of finesse a system that worked for me, and it did me wonders. And I developed tons of relationships just by doing that. But that's another story for another. But so pretty much after my time at Bowie, I ended up getting an internship with DC United, so coaching kids soccer. And one thing I learned is that coaching is not for me.
It's not for a lot of people, man.
Difficult. Like, I work with kids, in day camps and summer camps and things like that. It's not the same as coaching. What prompted you to want to work with kids and coaching? Like, what got you to that point?
So,
and why do you keep doing it? That's the other question.
All right, so at some point, of doing things after a certain amount of time, it's just who you are, right? I don't know if you noticed or not, but my father, he played professional football for a couple years, right?
For the Browns?
Yeah. So as any man does, he teaches his son or his daughter or whoever follows him what they know, right? So from the time I could really walk, sports or sports background, something of the sports nature has been a part of my life, right? What I saw him do and what I saw a lot of other people do that, participate in, whatever sport that they choose to participate in, when their time is up, to sort of substitute what you're going through, right? You're going through the absence of something that you've been doing for a long time. You start to coach. And I'll never forget, man, I got a call from a friend of mine. His name is Dominic West, and they had an opportunity at our old high school. And once again, it was like another perfect science thing, right? I get to try coaching out at my old high school and, really see if, this is something for me. And, just through so many years of competing and, being on one side of it, what I wanted to do was I wanted to be my idea of what a perfect coach was, right? And me practicing that, it really started resonating with the kids. And just like with anything that anybody tries for the first time, once you see a little bit of success, or once you get over the threshold, it's like, all right, I want a little bit more, right? So 1 year, it was 1 year turned into 2, and I think if I want to be honest with you, I think I'm at year 8. I'm creeping up on a full decade of coaching, man. And I'll tell you, what really keeps me going is what it does for, the people that you're coaching, right? So you get a high level of satisfaction, if I'm coaching you and I teach you something, right? And as a coach, any and all coaches can vouch for this. You're not just coaching on the field or what's going on the field. You're coaching off the field too, right? So if I'm your coach, right, and I teach you something, whether it be a technique on the field or you come to me like, Coach, man, I'm going through something, and I say, look, this is how you should go about it, and that works for you, that do something for me too. And in my time as a coach, and the way I chose to go about it, the way I chose to deal with my kids, man, I get that a lot. So that's gassing me up for real to keep going, because I see my impact on, I guess, my world, right? The people that I come in contact with. When I decided to coach and a player decided to be, up under my wing, and they listened, and I didn't hold anything back. I gave them everything that I had. It always translates to, well, nothing is 100%, but for the most part, it translated into something good. So why stop that? Figure out a way to keep that going.
So for me, right, and I'm glad that you brought that up. So I'm from PG. I grew up here most of my life. I transitioned to Baltimore during my college years, and I stayed there. So I kind of experienced both sides, and I see what Baltimore City and sometimes the county is, and what you can be exposed to.
Right.
I lived in Yale Heights. I lived in Park Heights. So I think I'm a little bit more versed in what you see outside your front door than what people most commonly saw. For you as a coach, did you ever have those real life experiences with either a player or someone on your team that was going through something that was just like you had to kind of step in and be more than a coach?
More often than not. So specifically, about Tyreek.
Of course.
My younger cousin, and that was a situation where I felt like I needed to step in on because with him specifically, and knowing where what his living environment looked like, the chances of him just seeing the opportunity. With me, it's just about seeing the opportunity. I can't guarantee nobody's success, right? But what I can say is I can help you get to the door. Whether you walk through it or not, that's up to you. But I've gotten to certain doors before, and that path worked for me, and I tested it out with other people. So with him specifically, yeah, like I've in a lot of times what will happen, right? And you'll have a conversation with a kid, right? And like I've been coaching for so long, man. I look at it differently. Like I've been starting to call myself a sensei because like it's starting to become like a magical kind of like masterful type thing. So you'll have a conversation with a kid, and without them even knowing, they're giving you hints about what their life is like, or they're sending up red flags, right? And
and they think they hiding it.
Yeah, they think they hiding it, right? But whole time in your head, you're like, whoa. So with so many of my kids, and I'm not going to say no names, but they know who they are. Well, actually they don't, right? Because what I also believe, and I've seen on so many occasions, specifically with Tyreek, right? A lot of times you'll say, don't do this. They do it.
He just want to test it out.
So you gotta learn like a way of saying or suggesting a different route without letting them know, I know what you're doing, or I know what's going on, and allow them to like come to the idea or the conclusion themselves, or to like kind of get their own fear or their own imaginary idea that you kind of know, right? Because like carrying that label as a coach also holds like a high level of respect. I used to teach, right? And every day my kids used to wear me out. When they found out that I coached,
it was like a different level.
It was like a whole different level of respect, right? So if a kid is talking to me about or child like kind of hide what they're going through but still trying to talk to me, I'll give them a hint that I know, but I'm gonna still kind of let you know that I don't know.
Yeah.
And then allow that like my respect that in the label that I have to steer them in the right direction.
Yeah, because with someone like Reek, right, where, because I had firsthand experience where I saw the work that you put in with him. I know the talent that was there, and I know where we are today. And when you look at somebody like that, it kind of hurts, because it's like you want the best for that person, even when that person don't know what's best for them.
See, and I'll tell you, when it comes to that situation specifically, right? there's a lot of truths that you kind of have to accept. And one, and you probably feel the same way because you know him, right? Where he is right now, if you care about him, you don't want him there, right? But if you are knowledgeable in the world, you know about certain things that's transpired in society, unfortunately, more than likely, that's where he was going to end up. And there is an infinite amount of paths you could take to success. Me, you, nobody in this room can say which way is right or wrong, right? In the situations that he was placed in, he was making whatever
decision. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna say I'm not gonna say left. I'm gonna say whatever he felt was the right decision because I don't know. I personally do know people who have to choose. They have to go left, right? Because of their circumstances. They just have to. But the goal is to go left to steer back right. I don't know what I wasn't there.
Right.
What I do know is even though he done some silly shit, right? You know, we see
I know
he not stupid.
He's not. Yeah, he's a very smart, intelligent young man.
So you know what I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt is that he a black man. He a black man in society that has some choices or some cards dealt before him, and he chose and he chose and he chose, and eventually it caught him.
Yeah, like Reek was somebody that I know for sure, like my encounter with him, I would say it was definitely unique. It's definitely unique and special. And I just think that, like you said, he's just a victim of circumstances. But I still feel that even though that might be what you are, you still can impact the decisions that you make. But I don't want to, because we could talk about that.
And allow me to say this as well, right? In many cases, right, we always want to believe that we are meant to be the ones, right? Or, you know, we see the potential in somebody, and he's supposed to make it, right? It may not be meant for him. We saw his potential, and based off of what we saw, we felt like he was supposed to do something, right? It may not have been meant for him. You know, it may have been meant for, he has a son and a daughter now, right? It may be meant for his daughter. It may be meant for his son, or, you know, it may be meant for Tiana or whoever the case may be, right? For whatever he did or whatever's going on with him to spark something else, for something else to happen. So, and these are things that, like, I had to, cause I used to call him all the time my cousin's son, right? You know, because he was my cousin, but I treated him like my son. I
already know.
So, you know, these are the ways that I've accepted or learned to accept where he's at right now.
Right, I feel it. Now I'm gonna switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
Youth athletics, right? When it comes to coaching, me and you are both sports management majors. We've done a lot of research on this game of football. Football eradication is something that could possibly happen in the next 15 to 30 years. Do you still feel like that's something that's secure within society, like football is here to stay, especially in youth athletics with concussions and different things like that plaguing the sport? Or do you feel that no, football is a life lesson that needs to be taught to young men? Where do you go with that? Okay,
so I can only speak from my experiences and, you know, what I've seen firsthand, right? Now, what I'm seeing right now is that there is a big pickup in flag football and 7-on-7. I don't know if that's an agenda being pushed because of what you're speaking about, but I have seen it. I do believe that when it comes to child participation in the game of football, you do have to be selective about your child. Every child is not meant to play the game of football. It is a brutal sport. And this is like it's a weird topic because I do love the game, but you also gotta respect certain things about it, right? From the top level at the NFL, right? They are consciously doing things to make the game safer, and we all see it. I'm not about to break down every little thing that's going on, but we all see it, and eventually these things are going to trickle down, right? You already see where in college, you get a targeting penalty, you done. Out the game, you might have to miss the next game or whatever the case may be, and that's brutal because your performance on the field is your resume.
Yeah.
The less exposure you have, the less
opportunities.
So in so many ways they taking their money, right? So based off of what is going on, right? I believe what they'll probably do is cut it off at a certain age and only allow like equipment for maybe the teenage or the preteens, right? Like 11, 12, something like that. Do I actually, to be honest with you, I do agree with it because at least the flag level, right? You can break down the game if you're a good enough coach, you can break down the game to a kid. But once again, there's so many variables to it. It's a lot of variables to it, which is why, I'm gonna just stick with, what I see is an age limit being drawn, right? Maybe once, puberty start kicking in around that, where it's biologically semi-ideal, right? Maybe even high school, right? Because typically in high school, you're coming out of puberty or, you're in full swing, so you're okay. But I do see it happening. I hate to admit to it, but I do agree from, what I know, not the competitor in me, right? Not the participant in me. The participant in me is like, no, let them play. Let the little babies have their knee pads on their shins and just be out there bobbling. Let them do it.
He could take a hit.
Yeah, he can.
Just drop that little dirt off. It's all right. All right, good hit, young fella.
Yeah, but to keep it real, I see that's the movement that they're going to because there's too many. It's too much money involved for injury, right? And because football is such a brutal sport, and because there's no telling when an injury occurred, right? A kid could blow their knee out playing youth ball. It don't affect them. Well, it luckily don't affect them all the way up until they become a pro and they blow their same knee out. And now the NFL is responsible. That's why, right? That's why they'll push to stop it because they can't make an argument. I'm probably saying too much, right? But they can't make an argument to say exactly when it happened.
Right, makes sense.
Because nobody just says at 22, I want to play football. And it starts playing in the NFL.
Yeah. Early. Yeah. You're a son of a pro football player. Did you, not you per se, really the question is kind of two parts, but really one. It's really asking about sport burnout, right?
Okay.
Parents that tend to kind of force a sport on kids. Have you experienced that firsthand?
Yeah.
Not with you per se, but with kids. And when you do, how do you, because we're sports management majors, we study that. We kind of know when to recognize it, but they don't necessarily tell you how to deal with it.
Okay, so I experienced it firsthand, not only, for myself, but also, seeing it vicariously through, other people, right? And it all stems from not truly acknowledging what sports really is, right? No matter how you slice it, no matter how you cut it, at the end of the day, sports is nothing but a form of entertainment. It has one of the lowest percentage rates of success, right? And
People that actually make it.
Yeah, people that actually make it, right? Forgive me for not knowing the exact number of sports management. We talk about it all the time. It's a 1.01% chance to get a full scholarship, and then of that percentage
It's just even
smaller to make it pro, right? So what happens is, right, so, and like so many cases, right? So what will happen is you'll have a kid, right? And somebody will put a whole bunch of expectations before them, right? Because what happens, I can see your potential. You don't necessarily see your own potential, right? So I can see this going through the roof, right? But you might only be able to see maybe like the next 4 or 5 years, realistically, right? So you'll have a kid and his family, his friends, his teammates are like, yo, dude.
I'm just chilling.
Right. So after, what'll happen is you got all these people, saying you should do this. And then what they don't take into account is like human error, right? So because the expectations are up here, right? When the kid don't reach that expectation, let's say the bar was set here and the kid makes it here, right? Everybody's disappointed and they let the kid know, but they still went up high, right? So now the game has less of an impact on the kid, and they start to not be into it as much because their failures, well, not even their failures, right? Their production doesn't match the unrealistic production of everybody that placed it before them, right? Then there's also like the training and conditioning part of it, right? Because even though a kid might be younger, and the idea is that because the kid is younger, their body will recuperate, quicker. Sports, regardless from cheerleading to, track and field, you gotta practice, and practice takes time. And when you're a kid, you got so many goofy interests. So many interests, you know what I'm saying? The kid might still like butterflies, but gymnastics takes time. You don't got time to.
I want you to think. No,
you go.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So because what you're saying, right? I'm thinking of. I don't know if do you have Apple TV? Have you seen Swagger?
No.
Okay. So there's a show on Apple TV called Swagger. It's produced by Kevin Durant.
Okay.
And the makers of Friday Night Lights.
Okay.
Similar to Friday Night Lights, even. Right, those expectations that we put on these kids, it's like we're expecting them to be solely dedicated to one thing,
right? And
forget that they actually just kids and are still learning and finding themselves out,
right? So
it's like us as parents, we put all this pressure on kids to just be this thing that they honestly don't even know if they really want to be. I was put into sports. I ended up liking sports, but I was put into sports primarily because my parents just needed somewhere for me to be between 3 and 7.
Right.
That was it. After that, they did not care how good I was. They didn't care about, taking me to games, watching my games, recording my games, anything like that. Like, is it kind of like the same? Because I'm hearing it and I'm like, yo, that's real.
So I believe that you have to have a healthy mix of both, right? Whoever's looking out for the participant has to have a healthy mix of being involved and not caring, right? You have to be involved enough to acknowledge the accomplishments, right? Or to help open doors, right? But you have to be standoffish enough to not, how should I put it? To not drill in errors and mistakes, right? Because really what they are, a loss, an error, a mistake, a failure, these are learning experiences, right? So point them out in a way that you can still teach or they can still learn, right? Don't make it one of those things where where it's blown way out of proportion. Because once again, even though this is your friend, you know, your child, or you know, this person that you're looking after, that 0.10 or 0.0% ain't going nowhere. You know, they still have to go through so many things, and that's why it's almost better, right? So think about it like this, right? You got the course of a person's life, right? And a lot of times what happens in the burnout, the focus of the game is intensified at this early point, right? It's not broken down. It's not allowed to come in at its natural pace. It's forced, right? So at this early age, when you got all of this life, right? You got all of this time to like learn on your own, or you know, to participate in things. It's like extra being put in this short period of time. Eventually, from it being forced, it's just not going to become an interest no more, because so at some point you're going to know all that you really need to know about the game of football, about the game of basketball, whatever.
No, I feel you, because for me it's like, how do you recognize that firsthand experience? So like, I brought up Swagger, right? And I'm seeing how it's a good show to watch. It's a great show.
I'm mental note.
The mother in that show, right? It's like, yeah, she's supporting the kids. So the kid's dream is to make it to the NBA, no matter what. NBA. I can see that he's passionate about it, but it's also like the mom is definitely playing the hand. Is she playing the hand because the child is actually the one pushing, or is she pushing, you know what I'm saying, the agenda on the child? That's one. And two, my second example was like somebody like a DK Metcalf, who was breaded into becoming that type of individual that he is. Freak of nature, right? Man been lifting weights since he was a toddler.
Right.
He was groomed to be this NFL player that he is. So how do you identify whether it's a parent pushing their child into a sport, or that child actually wanting to be involved in that activity?
The way I identify it, you gotta pay attention to both, right? You gotta pay attention to the child, and you gotta pay attention to the parent, and you know, their relationship together, right? The child, and we spoke on this before, they'll be talking to you and they'll be giving you red flags, don't even know it, right? And then, of course, a lot of times when it comes to situations like that, you know, the parent is proud of their child, right? So they're gonna let you know that they care about every single thing that's going on with this kid right now, right? And fortunately enough, I think in my own experience as a coach, because I've had a situation or two, but nothing to like, you know, really like say like, but I think, you know, as a coach myself, I've been able to demonstrate that I know enough to keep the parents, like the line between the field and, you know, the sideline. But, you know, that's what'll, you know, initially trigger, like he or she, they on the field, you know, talking to me, you know, or saying too much. There's nothing wrong with having a conversation, but there's one thing where it's like, my fault, where it's like, you talking about schemes now. You talking about, you know, where players should play, or you talking about how much, you know, your son will.
How much playing time?
Yeah. And these are things that are like, you had the opportunity to be the coach. You didn't. So.
I just asked, man.
Yeah,
it's funny.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what it is, man. And then, I mean, but yeah, I was pretty much about to repeat, but yeah.
So, so you've been a head coach for about 8 years. I was.
Well, not necessarily. I've been coaching for 8
years.
Yeah. I haven't been a head coach.
How long have you been at Cockeysville?
Actually, this past season was my first season, man. That was an opportunity that kind of like slipped and fell into my hands.
Were you an assistant coach before, or have you worked with the team? So originally, a few years back, I had an opportunity to be the D coordinator for the 14U, but some things happened that didn't quite work out. I was coaching at Delaney at the time,
and it fell through. But this past, I'm gonna say this past summer into fall, one of my players, Tristan Forby, his mother and father, Paul and Michelle, they've been super supportive of what I've been doing with fourth quarter. And one day I don't remember if it was a call or a text, but they let me know that some things had happened with the 14U. The coach had left, and he took like half the team, right? So it get real grimy.
I'm hip.
Yeah. So when he left, he took like half the team, and it was like a small group left with no coach. And once again, like, and we spoke on this, like I'm a person that I'm gonna take advantage of the opportunities that come my way. And I saw it as a chance to, continue to coach and to learn things and to network. And it blossomed into something beautiful, man. We turned it into sort of like a red shirt year, right? 14U was the last age group before they go on to high school and play JV. And when I showed up and I talked to the parents and I talked to the players, it was a lot of their first times ever playing under the whistle, right? So I was left with a decision to make. I'm either going to try to force this thing and put these kids in equipment, and also our numbers were low. We only had like 8 kids, right? So I was like, all right, we could try to force this thing, schedule a season with just 8 kids, hope 3 more or a couple more show up, and try to make something happen with 2 practices a week, or just try to make something happen. And we started practicing, and by the end of the season, man, we had 21 kids.
Oh yeah. So that means you was clearly doing something, right?
Yeah.
So with where fourth quarter is today, I guess, what is it that you're doing? Like, what's the business model? So pretty much a parent signs up a kid, they pay X amount for specific training. Are you, like, what is it, like, what services are you providing? What are you doing for these kids?
Okay.
Exactly.
So right now, what I've been doing is I've been doing fashion, I've been doing team entries, or, entering teams into different events. And pretty much I've been showcasing kids as individuals, right? I've done training on a small scale.
And this is a one-man show?
Yeah, it's a one-man show.
Okay.
Man. Like, and pretty much that's really why I gotta do it like this, right? I've had help in small periods going along the way, but life. One of the main reasons why a lot of people don't step into the entrepreneurial lane or doing things for themselves is because life is just too complicated, right? So people that came in to help out, things got complicated with them, and they had to fall off. But because I'm a one man show, I got to do things sort of in the way that they come to me, right? So when the pandemic hit, everything kind of shut down, right? I couldn't do any like personal training in the gym. People were kind of skeptical about meeting up on the fields and stuff like that, or a lot of the parks was like shut down. They weren't letting people come together in any kind of way, right? But I had already done stuff, right? I started by showing off other kids' highlight tapes, right? Growing up playing ball, one of the lessons I was taught was take what the defense give you, right? I ain't really have a whole bunch of resources. I had a phone, I had a laptop, and I had social media. All right, and through that, I was able to study the market. And I'll leak some secrets, but like what I noticed when it comes to the training aspect of it, right? What a lot of trainers do, and we spoke about it, they only focus on the physical. And when they show what they're doing, right, they're showing you executing their workout, right? So, or their cone drill, which is pretty much Because a cone drill is a cone drill is a cone drill is a cone drill, or it is a ladder is a ladder is a ladder. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what a motherfucker says. Yeah. So, all right. So, what that is it's your creativity put to life, and you're showing the kid's ability to do that drill. What you're not showing is what that translates to on the field. A coach cannot, or there isn't a coach under the sun, right, that's going to go to any one of these trainers and look at their kid going through a drill and be like, I want him now. They're going to say, I like him, what his film look like. And if his film look crazy, then it don't matter how well he execute that drill, how cute he look with his matching gloves and cleats and everything. That shit don't matter, right? And that's one of, like, a lot of people, that's how they were marketing, right? So I was like, all right, fourth quarter is something that's genuinely me, right? This is something that my life was literally about, right? So what were the things that got in my way? One of the things that got in my way was nobody knew about me. I didn't have that much exposure, right? So I started with the guys that I coached, right? I had instant access to their highlight tapes, pictures that they had, and I knew them, right? So even if I didn't, there was nothing for me to be like, yo, let me get your highlight tape, or let me send me a picture or something. And a picture says 1,000 words, and a highlight tape is a highlight tape. You know, it's the best of you, right? So I got a picture of you in action, right? You flexing, or, you know, you just so happen to be looking at the person tackling you. It looks intense, right? It paints a picture already before somebody swipes and sees, you know, you playing, right? And then the idea is that you highlighted yourself, or, you know, in some cases I made your highlight tape, right? And if I'm making your highlight tape, it's all beef, no fat. You know what I mean? Like, and that doing this, it steered me into that, right? Because you getting these highlight tapes, of course I'm gonna look at them, right? Of course I'm gonna check them out, you know? And what I didn't do was say that you had to be, you know, this type of performer for me to put you out there, right? Because what was happening was, even if, and, you know, God forgive me, even if the kid was a bum, right? Because that happens, right? A kid, all he want to do is just be seen.
He's just be seen, yeah. He's doing the best he can.
Right. All he want to do is just be seen, right? Okay, I'm going to put you out there. What'll happen is somebody that's nice will be like, and once again, perspective is everything, right? I know that on this end, I'm in a small room on a laptop and I got my phone right here, right? What they seeing, it looks like whatever they see, right? So a kid that's nice will see me post a bum and be like, oh, I could get on that too. So what'll happen, it's like clockwork. I wish I kept track of how many times this will happen. I'll get a bum, right? And I'll be like, damn, I don't want to post this kid. I'm gonna post him. He just want an opportunity, just like I did. Post him. Right after that, I'll get like 3 nice kids and be like, oh, post them. And then let's say you went to school A. I post you. Next thing that'll happen, I'll get another kid from kid A, and another kid from kid A. Post them. And then what'll happen is all these kids from school A, they rival with school B. And
school B checking out school A.
Yeah, what are these suckers doing? And next thing you know, and that's how it started. Well, that's how it started, and it started graduating. So fast forward into what was going on with the pandemic, right? So I couldn't go into any gyms, but I already started building relationships with a lot of kids, right? With a lot of people. And next thing I know, I hear about two league situations, right? I hear about 10-12 Sports through a friend of mine, Mike Smith. He works through Baltimore City Parks and Recs. And then I heard about One Motion Sports. They're ran by this guy. I only know him as Q. But they do a lot of great work as far as visuals, as far as training and, you know, putting things together. And throughout everything that was going on through the pandemic, people, you know, having to stay indoors, don't look at me, you might get me infected. These two things squelched through the crack, right? Because it wasn't that much contact. And having, you know, still having a relationship with the kids, you know, talking to them, they giving me red flags, not even knowing. A lot of people were going through depression. You know, a lot of my kids was extremely worried about their future because they couldn't play. Right. A lot of kids needed that season, right? So I was like, all right, boom. It's not perfect, but it's something, right? And both of these opportunities, the kids would have footage, right? 10-12 Sports and One Motion, they recorded. They had camera, right? One man wrecking crew. I don't got a whole bunch of equipment, but I'm not afraid to take steps and do things, right? So, boom. I see it as we get into this. Y'all can get some film. I don't know what the competition going to be like, but I ain't heard about nothing else. So if you're nice, you heard about it. We gonna hop into these things, and whether they want to admit it or not, man. Playing in these things, it saved not only fourth quarter, because through being involved in these two leagues, I got exposed, right? Not only as a business, but, you know, as a coach, my players got exposed, all of these things, right?
It all intertwined.
Right. Yeah. And my players, you know, figuratively speaking, stayed alive, right? They were in something that motivated them again. They now had a reason again to lift, or a reason again to run and to work on their hands and do stuff like that. And from there, I just continued to ride the wave, right? So, and being in One Motion, I had to figure out our jerseys, right? And even before having to figure out the jerseys, I had to figure out ways to market, right? At the time, I was doing a little bit of fashion work with a friend of mine named Tyrell. We were doing hoodies and T-shirts, and that was working out pretty well. But life happens, right? You know, and it slowed down. But boom, because we in this league now, I had to think about fashion again. Luckily, I already started, so okay, we're going to design some jerseys, but you can't just stop there, you know, because you could market elsewhere. You've already done just T-shirts and hoodies, so take it further. I did the jersey tops and bottoms. I did sleeves and accessories, and I'm going to continue to dive into the fashion, right? And then
it's just interesting.
It's a lot, man. Like as far as having future goals for it, when I first put this down on paper, I had a future goal. But when I got into it, I started learning that you can't control how things come into. Like I doing a 7-on-7 or a flag football team was not on my radar, but because of what happened, it fell onto my radar. Now that's taking me to a whole different level, a whole different, you know, lane that I wasn't even considering. But I kind of like it like that, because what I feel that it does for me is it just gives me more chances, more opportunities to find a niche. My original plans didn't go anywhere. The only thing that happened was I incorporated more.
Exactly. You just got exposed to a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's what it could be a lot of times with with these experiences. And from what I'm hearing, I think from a personal standpoint, it sounds like you're still growing and developing, and you've actually put yourself into 3 different in sports industries, so to speak.
But just think about it, right? That's exactly how Bowie set it up,
yeah.
Right?
Because you know how to do everything,
and that's why, like, it trips me out, because like I have conversations with friends, I have conversations with family, and they want to know specifics, right? I can't give you no specifics, right? I could give you like a generalized idea without really telling you anything. But as far as specifics, the only thing I can tell you is I'm about to. So with this, right? This is new. Mm-hmm. I'm about to
fresh off the press.
I'm about to make a sweatsuit, and I'm gonna walk around in it, and whatever happens from there, happens from there. Somebody might, and this happened to me one time. I just so happened to be on the scene, and a dude that ran a boutique, a black-owned boutique. He only put black designers in his boutique. He saw what I was wearing. The only fucked up part is I'm a one-man record crew. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have like a whole bunch of shit in bulk, like where I could have been like, I gotta find this shirt to the truck. Yeah, take it. Or work out some kind of deal where all right, you sell this, I'll get this as a kickback.
But it's learning.
And that's what I'm falling in love with. That's what I'm enjoying about this whole thing, is the learning process of it, the building process of it. If I only engulf myself in the final result, I'm setting myself up for failure, because not everybody makes it to that, right? But no matter who you are, if you jump into a lane, whether you have a whole bunch of resources, a whole bunch of money, or you have nothing, right? You still gotta go through the process. You still gotta go through some kind of trials and tribulations, and that is what I've been. And it's a tough one. I've been training myself to just enjoy that part.
Last question. A lot of times people are scared to follow their dreams. So one thing for me in sports management, like we said, they teach you so much because there's so many different lanes you can go into. And the people that I had my classes with, because the other part of sports management is not too many people take it. So you end up in the same classes with the same individuals.
With the same people.
Every year. And I look at those individuals and where they are and what they're doing, that they're not following the same passions that we once had in college. How do you continue? How would you encourage someone to, follow their passion of doing whatever it is, at least in the sports aspect? Because for me, my final goal is a sports agent. And I'm doing everything I possibly can. I got other endeavors, but trust me, it's still there. I'm still working on it. So how, as you, as an individual, you're now a coach, you now own your own business and operate your own business, and you're diving into other industries as this entity. So how would you advise someone that wants a career in sports and entertainment to follow or continue down that road?
That's okay. That's tougher to answer than what a lot of people would, I believe, would give it credit for.
Just follow your dreams.
So it's not all right. Following your dreams is it's an opportunity for everybody, but it's not meant for everybody, right? You have to have certain things within you. I encourage everybody to follow their dreams. Whenever I come in contact with a person, it's been several instances in my life where I just randomly met a person and they started talking about things that they wanted to do, and there was a little bit of skepticism, and I always encourage them. And the reason why, and this is how I look at it for me, right? I only got this one life, right? I am not going to, or there hasn't been a case of anybody being reincarnated and getting a second chance at this motherfucker, right? So if this is the one life that I have, then I'm going to do as many things or follow as many as my interest as I can, right? And I think what it also is like the word choice, right? One of the things that I've been paying a lot of attention to is the English language and how deceptive it can be, right? When you label it a dream, right? And just think of what we think of dreams are, right? Truth be told, dreams aren't real. They're like ideas, right? Or, they're like fantasies, right? But if you were to call it something else, right? If you were to call it like your goals, right? People would chase them more, or something that you want to do with your life. You know, even though that's not like a one-word definition, but that's what it is, right? If you might call it a dream, but truth be told, what it is something that you want to do with your time on earth, right? And if that's what you call it, or if you start referring to it as that, I believe more people would chase after it, more people would do it, because you see a lot of people saying, "Oh, I want to go to Miami," or "I want to take a trip," and eventually they come around. They don't say, "My dream is to go to Miami." They don't say that, right? They say, "I want to go," or, you know, "It's one of my goals this year is to lose weight." They don't say, "My dream weight is to." No, they don't say that, right? They say, "My goal," or "I want to do this." So that's actually, I mean, that's crazy. Like that, I'm coming up with this on the spot. That's what I would do. I would say, don't call it a dream. Watch what you're calling it. Call it a goal, or just say that it's something that you want to do. And after you do that, like, either take the step or give it its time. And when I say give it its time, right here, right now, map out what would have to happen in order for it to happen. Because what that do is it puts in perspective how real it actually is.
How attainable it is.
Yep.
Now that makes the most sense, man. Bro, I'm just appreciative of you coming on to the platform. One, I've known you for, I think, I want to say 5, 6, 7. So it's been a while.
Time's flying. It's flying, man.
It's flying. I've known you for a while. Like I said, I was your first, I don't know if I was your first intern, but you were definitely my first internship.
I think you actually were. So you came in with a group. 2016?
Was it 2015? 2016?
It was 2016, 2017. It was one of them years, man.
Yeah.
It was
a wild time.
What's crazy about that is, right, I don't know if you could tell. I'm pretty sure you could tell, but like, we had no idea of what we were doing or what was going to come about. We were just trying to be as professional as we possibly could.
Yeah. Now it was definitely, I did not that I didn't know. I guess I didn't care. I was just excited because it was a step that you take into this journey. Because the sports, what people don't know about, and that was my thing about getting to DC United. What people don't know is the amount of work you really have to put in this type of industry,
right,
to get to where you want to go. Because I thought once I got the job at DC United, like, oh, life is made. I'm in here. I'm good. And then I got there and I saw how a professional organization is run, and it's not easy. And especially trying to develop a career into it. It takes dedication, it takes passion, it takes a lot of intangibles that people aren't necessarily ready to be a part of when they get into this lifestyle. So from me to you, I know what it took personally, or I think I understand it because I'm not an entrepreneur yet. But I know the level of sacrifice and the dedication that you had to give to get to this point, especially when it comes to training athletes. So I commend you for that. And no regular athletes, these is high school boys, middle school boys becoming high school boys. So that age group ain't in Baltimore City.
It's a funny age group. That's what I'll say. It's a funny one.
It's funny. It's very difficult, but I see you and I commend you. But this has been Stuck in the Middle. This is the Couch Talk. We at our 5-year mark. Vernon, as y'all know him, Quarter LLC, Mr. CEO, head coach of the 14U. I know a championship coming soon. I know I scrolled past the championship. I ain't bring it up, but I know a championship coming soon.
All right. We got a championship in the 10-12 league. Okay. As the Dolphins. I'm extremely proud about that.
Right.
Shout out to Coach Jeff Thompson. I'm gonna go on record and say I know him as the big dog that runs that whole thing. But that was a hard fought win for us. That day was a tough one, and man, it was my first championship in this, and
it makes you want more.
Exactly, right?
It makes you want more,
and that's why I encourage people to follow their dreams, because, like, just when you take a step, and you just see a little taste of success, right? It just makes you want more, and want to figure out more, you know?
I feel it. So, Fourth Quarter LLC, if you're in the Baltimore area, the Baltimore region, and you got a young one, 14 years and below, I think they start at 7, go all the way up to 14. And even if you're in high school, if anybody that comes across this video, if you need some additional training, holistic training and development, or it's guidance, really, V is your guide. Trust me, you will not go wrong. I know I didn't even talk about your placements. There's a lot that we didn't talk about, but I know you a good dude. So where can the people find you?
Physically, or just to get in contact with?
Get in contact. Where can the people follow you on social media? If they want to reach you, how can they reach you? Is there a website?
Okay, so for what we've talked about, right? Mm-hmm. You can follow me on Instagram at fourth quarter LLC. That's the number 4 th_ quarter LLC. Me personally, as an individual, you can follow me at Young Anasi on Instagram, and that's Young Anasi is spelled ANANSI.
Yeah, for people that don't know what Anasi is or who Anasi is, do your research. Right. Trust me, I'm him. I know everything. Thank you. I know everything. Good. But no, it's been a pleasure to have you. I'm so happy that you're here. You supported me. I supported you. You're a guest of the show. You're welcome anytime to come on. If you have any other endeavors that you want to talk about or come onto the platform, we definitely welcome you. I told you, Stuck in the Middle turns 5 this year. So you definitely got to come out and support. We definitely got a little shindig coming out. I know you in Baltimore, and this was a little drive for you.
Look, I've taken some trips for some adventures, so you know this is nothing but a quick little bop for me. So you know I will definitely show my face.
I will make sure that you get the invite, and when you come out, you have a good time. But yo, my name is Sir Charles, aka Capo. I'm the host of the Couch Talk. This is the Couch Talk. This has been SitM Podcast. I got everyone in the building. It's a packed house. Yo, just make sure you stay in tune with everything we got going on. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We need that engagement. And make sure, once again, you head to www.sitmpodcast.com to shop your exclusive merch. That is the fuel that drives this machine. I'm your host once again, Sir Charles, aka Capo. This is Vernon, Fourth Quarter LLC. It's the Couch Talk. We out.
Man, this was fun.
It's